All right, let's just jump right in. Today, we're going to break down a philosophy that pretty much flips modern self-help on its head. We're talking about the subtle art of choosing what matters, based on the work of Mark Manson. And the whole idea here is finding a better way to live, but, and this is key, it's not by chasing happiness. It's about getting really, really good at facing life's struggles.
So right away, this brings us to the core problem. The big question this whole philosophy is trying to answer. Why is chasing happiness actually making us miserable? I mean, think about it. It's such a powerful question because so many of us are on that exact treadmill, right? We're constantly seeking positivity, and yet we just end up feeling more anxious and dissatisfied than ever. So let's dig into why that is.
And that leads us right into our first big idea here, the tyranny of positivity.
I mean, this is our modern obsession, isn't it? We're just bombarded with messages that we should always be positive, always be happy. But here's the kicker. That constant pressure to feel good, it actually makes us feel worse when we inevitably face, life's difficulties. It ends up creating this vicious cycle of shame for just feeling human. And this gets to the central paradox of the whole thing. The more you desperately want to be rich, the more you end up feeling poor and unworthy. The more you desperately chase after being happy and loved, the lonelier and more afraid you become. It's kind of backward, right? It turns out that accepting the negative experience is where the real positive shift actually begins. Okay, so if this nonstop positivity is the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's what Mark Manson calls the art of limited fucks. So what does that actually mean? Look, the subtle art isn't about being indifferent or not caring about anything. No way. It's a totally counterintuitive approach to living a good life. It's about choosing to care only about the things that genuinely, truly matter. It's all about conscious, deliberate prioritization. And why is this so important? Well, think about it like this. Your personal resources are finite. You've only got so much time, so much mental and emotional energy, and yeah, a limited number of fucks to give. So every single time you care about something trivial, something that doesn't really matter, you're spending a resource you can never ever get back. The key is to invest them wisely. Okay, this is where things get really practical. Let's break down 4 major mindset shifts you can actually apply in your own life.
All right, shift number 1, and this is a huge one. See, we're all taught to believe this myth that a happy life is a life with no problems. But the reality? Problems are a constant. They never go away. So the goal isn't to avoid problems, it's to find and solve better problems. The real question becomes, what struggles are you actually willing to endure for the things you value? Because that's where growth comes from, right? From solving better problems, not from trying to avoid them altogether. A truly meaningful life, it's not found on some beach with zero worries. It's found in the process of overcoming the challenges that you've consciously decided are worth your time.
Okay, on to the second shift, and this is all about how we measure success. The myth we're sold is that we should chase external validation. You know the drill. The perfect job, the big house, all the social media likes. But the reality is that true, deep fulfillment, that only comes when you define your own success based on your own values. So here's the bottom line. You've got to align your idea of success with your personal values, not with what society expects from you. Because when your metrics for success are internal, you're no longer at the mercy of what other people think. You're finally playing your own game by your own rules. All right, now for shift number 3, and heads up, this one can be a little tough to swallow. The myth is that if something isn't your fault, then you're not responsible for it. But the reality Manson points to is different. It is your responsibility. See, he makes this brilliant distinction between fault and responsibility. Fault is about the past. It's about who's to blame. Responsibility is about the present. It's about how you choose to respond right here, right now. And here's how you can actually put that into practice. It's called radical responsibility. Step 1, acknowledge it. You don't control what happens to you, but you always control your response. Step 2, choose. Actively decide how you're going to react and what you're going to do. And step 3, own it. Take ownership of your choices and whatever comes from them. This right here is how you take back your power. Because at the end of the day, it's simple. Responsibility equals control over your life. When you take full responsibility for your experiences, you gain the power to actually shape them. You stop being a victim of your circumstances, and you become the author of your own story. And that brings us to our 4th and final shift, which really ties everything we've talked about together. The myth is that to be a good person, you have to care about everything, every cause, every person's opinion, every problem in the world. But the reality is, you simply can't. You have to choose what to care about. Because trying to care about everything just leads to burnout and a life full of shallow commitments.
So the actionable advice here is this: stop trying to please everyone. Instead, take the time to define the values and goals that are actually worth your precious energy. And listen, this isn't about being selfish. It's about being effective. By focusing that limited energy on what truly deeply matters to you, you can actually make a much bigger impact and live a much more satisfying life in the process.
So after going through all these mindset shifts, we land at the ultimate question, the one that's underneath it all. What truly matters? The simple answer: life is short. And look, that isn't meant to be a downer. It's actually meant to be clarifying. Manson's idea is that we should use death as a kind of compass to help us prioritize what truly matters. When you're really aware of your own mortality, that your time is limited, all the trivial stuff, the petty arguments, the social media drama, that desperate need for approval, it just kind of falls away. It forces you to get real honest with yourself about what you truly value. And so, that leaves us with one final and really important question for you to think about. After all of this, what will you choose to care about? Because that is the subtle art. The choice is yours.